Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the next project.
And here we are. It's a 2015 Porsche Cayenne S.
This one is again another one of those from Copart. It's a category S, and that's due to the damage at the front end that you see there. What I want to do is firstly show you guys around the car, give you an idea of the spec of this,
And we'll do a strip down and see just how bad that damage is. Okay, so what we have here is a 2015 model, and this is the facelift version of the Mark II, and it's the E-Hybrid version, which is a 3-litre petrol with the supercharger and also the plug-in hybrid system, giving it a combined brake horsepower of 416 and a 0 to 60 of 5.4 seconds. Now, moving on to the actual spec of this car, what we've got optioned on this is the sports tailpipes, the monochrome exterior package, so it's all gloss black, to things like the door surrounds instead of them being in chrome, and then we've also got the 21-inch 911 turbo design wheels. Really nice look on this car, and of course you've got the acid green calipers as well, which ties in really nicely with badges, having that acid green highlight behind there. One that I know a few people aren't so keen on, but it's certainly something I think is quite cool because you've got the dials as well, also within the acid green. And another good thing that was optioned on this one is all the wheel extensions, the spoiler, it's all been colour coded to the car as well. Now moving on to the interior, and we've got the 14-way comfort seats on this with the memory functionality, and they're also heated front and rear, as well as having the Porsche and Boss logo and the headrests. And then other options that we've got in this interior is we've got the pan roof. Now I think that's an essential for one of these, along with the Bose sound system that we've also got here.
And yeah, in what I would say the best colour as well, in the black, which I know most of these were in black, so it's quite a common colour, which should be good in terms of getting parts for this. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get front bumper, bonnet, potentially a wing. Might try and see if Cal can save that, to be honest, and ideally we'll get those in the same colour, and then we'll not have to worry about bodywork. So the main damage is basically the front driver's side. So we have got a coolant leak on this, so it's hit, and we've got some damage to the radiators, which I'll have a look at once we've stripped this back a little bit. We'll fire it up now, have a little listen, and we'll also get it into the unit. I'll not leave this running for too long because we do have the coolant leak on there, but I'll just show the engine, and yeah, doesn't sound like it's ticking or anything, sounds nice. Someone's obviously had a jump pack on there at some point, but no, it sounds really healthy.
Which was a massive thing because I was a little bit worried about this one, with obviously coming from Copart, not knowing how long they'd had it running with that coolant leak. And yeah, just gonna make a couple of quick revs there, and yeah, it sounds really nice. Right, so we've got the Porsche in the unit now.
Looking at it, the only actual damage we've got that's categorised this, and it's Cat S'd it, is this front end here. So not dissimilar really to the MX-5 we did. It's actually gone further back than the MX-5 had, so it's affected the radiators. So we do have a coolant leak on here, so can't keep it running for too long. But other than that, it's not bad at all. Looking at everything else on it, it's in really good condition. I believe it's only a one owner car, this as well. The bonus is only being one owner car. I would imagine it's also had its full service history at Porsche. As soon as it's back on the road, I'll be looking into that and looking at getting booked in with Porsche for a full inspection and service to be done. And another really good thing is the airbags haven't gone off. In terms of work, it's literally just this front end, and we're hoping as well we've got no detrimental damage to the front side of the actual engine, because it has gone quite far in, which will have pushed the radiators back.
I did notice a little bit of a squeal coming from the front end once I had got it parked up, so shut the engine off straight away. So I'll have a good look into that when I get a chance to strip this car down.
It'll be a hell of a lot easier as well having this set up in the unit. So yeah, really looking forward to getting stuck into this car, and it'll be my basically replacement from the SL.
I'd be really interested to hear what you guys think of it, in particular the E-Hybrid version. Is there anything that I need to watch out for or look out for? And also with the spec that I've sort of mentioned, what I want to do is try and do as many retrofits on this as possible to really sort of load it up with the options. So if there's anything that you think's missing on this, if you let us know, what I'll try and do is have a see if I can actually do the retrofit of that, and if I can, I'll make a video as well for that, which will hopefully help some other people out as well along the way. If there is anything, drop me a comment and I'll get back to you on that. And as well, guys, if you could also give us a like and subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate that.
But yeah, this is a bit of a run through, and when I'm next back at the unit in a couple of days' time, when I've got a bit more time, we'll look at pulling apart the front end and doing a bit of a parts list.
So over the following weekend, I got Carl to come over to the unit with me to get his professional opinion on what exactly would need to be done to fix this car up and what he actually thought of the Porsche and my latest gamble. We then got stuck into stripping off that front end, seeing if there's any further damage behind there, and actually assessing what we needed to replace and what we needed to get on order.
Cracked on this morning, just stripping that front bumper off and just seeing where the damage was really. Just sort of getting a better evaluation of it, hoping that there's no substantial damage. It is a Cat S, this one, but I suspect it won't actually be structural damage on it. It's looking that way so far. So front bumper is now off. We've got all the engine covers and stuff like that off as well. Stripped down. The chassis leg and the bottom here actually doesn't look bad at all, so it's all gone in above that. So where we're looking at in terms of damage, we're looking more sort of your top cross member here. So that's obviously gone. What I did notice as well the other day when I fired it up and got it into place is it was squeaking after a while. So what we've actually got is this belt here, because it's pushed the rad pack right up against it. That's right on some of the cabling and on obviously the rad pack as well. So yeah, very lucky with that it's not actually snapped that belt and caused any more damage. But plan of action now, carry on stripping and then try and get behind here to expose that, and then we can do a bit of a parts list. Okay, so quick update, and we've managed to sort of pull off as much as we needed from the front of the car now. Pulled out the rad pack, and we managed to do that with Cal's project, the van. So that gave us some help to, as like a base to ratchet strap essentially what was a cross member across here. Helped us sort of pull this section out a little bit. That needs a bit more work yet to get it lined up. What we'll do with that is we could take some measurements from this side, and basically when Cal comes back we'll look to line that up on that side, make sure everything's pulled into the exact position it needs to be in. Once that's done, we'll then look at stripping all the rad packs off. Once I've got a new set of those, swapping those round, and then changing the belt. A few little things, so there's plastics everywhere that have come off. Got things like this hose here, luckily that just goes to the coolant reservoir there, but there's loads of bits and bobs of plastic. So the idea now is going to be essentially from my decomposed front bumper, try and get as many part numbers as I possibly can off those little bits of plastics, things like the radiator shrouds, and anything that's broken that needs to be replaced. We'll look at doing that, seeing if I can get some second-hand bits. If not, be pricing things up at Porsche. The loom, so the loom's absolutely perfect, barring this section here. So what I'll probably try and do for the sake of it is literally just look at soldering that back together, and then we'll do some testing on that rather than actually buying the loom itself. I think that makes sense because it's only that one connector that's affected. I'm hoping with the headlight I can just swap the lens on that side. It doesn't appear like there's too much damage to the actual bracketry of that, so that would be a big win and save me £700-800 on buying a second-hand one. So ideally we'll do that. If I do the lens on there, I'll get a pair, so both have brand new lenses. But yeah, we'll see whether that's an option. And then with the bumper, as I say, I've stripped as much as possible off there. So we've got things like the fog lights that have come out. With this one, the bracketry again, there is some bits and bobs that have snapped off there, so I'll see what I can do with that, but most likely we'll just get a new second-hand one of those. On the side that actually got hit, it's absolutely fine randomly. there are quite a few components there that we can salvage. And then just moving out to the skid plate, if you like. So plan of action is just to really clean that up, and then that can go to one side. Not really too bothered about scuffs like this on here because it's the underneath of the car, you're never really going to see it, so that's absolutely fine to be salvaged and put on the new bumper. What generally speaking you do find is that when you buy any of the used parts like the bumper, it will literally come as a bumper skin like that, so being able to pull as many parts off as possible is hopefully going to stop me from having to buy so much. The actual grille, centre grille, has gone, so if I can get one that has got some parts on, then that would be ideal. But yeah, other than that, we'll put a parts list together and try and see what we can find out of this that we need and what is salvageable. Okay, so before I close out this video, what I thought might be interesting to some people is going through costs and basically my forecasting that I do for any of the projects that I buy. And what I like to do is give myself some kind of idea of costing. Now, it's only an estimation just based off the description and the pictures that I saw on the Copart before I bid on this car. And as you can see from the pictures, it looks to be in pretty good condition. It's only that front end that's damaged. There's no reason to suspect that the car doesn't run or start. It mentions quite clearly there that it runs and starts. No issues described in the description either. The only thing that was alarming to me was the fact that in the picture of the dash, it does show the high temperature on there, so I wasn't too sure at that point whether that was due to the car being left running for so long. Obviously it's got a coolant leak, so would that have been detrimental to the engine? And that was why when I got it first started, really happy to hear that it was sounding fine and I had no problems. Now coming to my spreadsheet, I'll just quickly run through this, and its initial cost of purchase was £13,500 for this. Now if you actually look at the hammer price, my hammer price on this was £11,600. So it really goes to show there's a significant difference from that to you actually receiving it. This one was extremely high because of where it was located. It was the other side of the country to me, so there's an £800 fee for the delivery cost. So it is something that you do need to bear in mind. To be fair, on Copart, they do have a calculator on there for delivery and for the calculation of the fees. So it's very obvious, very clear once you've done that, what you're going to be bidding up to, taking into account all those fees. Estimations on parts. So what I typically try to do is visually see what parts are damaged, have a guess at what might be damaged in the actual skin of the car, if you like, and in that I've got the rad pack written down here. I've got things like the bumper, this centre grille, which was obviously damaged, and all these figures I've not just kind of put them out the air. At the time when I was bidding for it, I was looking at what was available on eBay, and that's what I typically tend to do, is use those costs to give me a good idea of an estimation of what I should be expecting to spend. Bodywork and paint, what I do want to try and do on this car is buy body panels in the same paint colour, so hopefully I won't have to actually paint the car. Now, running costs, I do put these in, and typically your service is going to be around £700. With these, you can also look on the manufacturer's website. They will tend to give you an idea of costings. Now, moving back up, just to show you what my estimate or projected cost was for this build. So it's just over 18.5. Now that includes the service and the MOT to get it on the road. I always try to budget for a service at a main dealer's. I'm hoping that this actually has full main dealer history. Something that I like to try and do once I've completed the build is take it back to the manufacturer, get them to do a full service on the car and do a full thorough inspection as well. I think it's really important to get a third party's point of view on it and get some feedback, and you never know, there might be something that they spot on a 4-post ramp that I've not seen or I've missed, and then that makes sure that it's done right. Now the market value that I've got here is 21,835. Now that market value, I've got that from Copart, from the listing. They always tend to give you an estimated market value at the time. Now I appreciate with a category on, this car is definitely not worth that amount of money. So we're probably talking realistically, I'd like to say around the 20 grand mark. Once we've retrofitted some options onto there, so we've fully loaded the car, if that makes sense, and it's looking really nice and clean with the full Porsche history and low ownership. But I'd like to hear your opinion on that. What do you think the value of this car would be as categorised and even as a non-categorised? Do you think that estimation is far off? Do you think my estimation of when it's done at being around the 20 grand mark is way off or not? What would you pay for a categorised car, and what do you expect to see as a discount if you were to buy that categorised car? I'd be really interested to know, get some feedback on that actually. With the next bit of costing, so the actual cost from what I've purchased so far, so all I've ordered so far is the parts that I knew I'd definitely need once we'd stripped out the front bumper. So there's things like the rad pack. So I've got the rad pack here, which was more expensive than I actually anticipated initially. and then scrolling down again, and the other parts I've got are not really high value parts now. So I've managed to get all these from a Porsche specialist salvage dealer local to me. They're in the northwest, and I'll link below to their website. They're really helpful, well priced, and I've got a lot of stock from anything from Cayennes to 911s, all sorts on there. So if you're building a Porsche, definitely someone worth looking at for parts. And because of that, I managed to get the 2 belts at the front end. The serpentine belt was the one that was wedged up against the actual radiator, so definitely wanted to replace that. I figured if I'm going to replace that, why not replace the drive belt as well. The engine coolant reservoir, the high note horn, then we've got the airbox, and then the actual driver's side headlight washer jet. That was something that I did go to Porsche and buy for the price that it was at. There's no point in taking a chance on getting a second-hand one, so just purchased that direct with Porsche. And then there was also a part that I found using the part number from the bits that were dismantled on the floor in the unit, and that was actually an aerial antenna amplifier. I think it's part of the GPS system, and I managed to get a second-hand one of those. Now with that, I'm hoping that there's not going to be a great deal of other parts that I need to purchase mechanically. I obviously got the bodywork to get, which, as I said, I'm going to try and hopefully get in the right colour, and that avoids me having to pay anything for the bodywork and paint. But yeah, that's essentially an overview of the spend and the budget for the build. This currently doesn't involve any customization or any retrofits. As I say, they are things that I'm going to be looking to do. I do want to try and stay as close to my projected costs as I possibly can. I've got about £3,000 in this now to get the body panels and hopefully some upgrades as well. And yeah, let's just see where I get to with that. I think if I can get to kind of the £18,000 mark with this, that'll be a really good price. But really interested to hear what you guys think. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate if you could hit that like and subscribe to the channel. Take it easy. See you on the next one.